Hi again, everyone, and welcome into Cincinnati Bengals Talk. I'm James Rapien of BengalsTalk.com. Let's get to it right away. The breaking news, the unfortunate news, the awful news, and our instant reaction to, well, words that no one wants to hear or certainly wants to say, and that's that Joe Burrow is expected to miss a significant portion of the 2025 NFL season. He suffered what is feared to be a grade 3 turf toe injury, one that would require surgery and put him out at least 3 months. Ian Rapoport of NFL Network is reporting that. Tom Pelissero of NFL Network is reporting that. And I look at it and I'm reading this and I'm just looking at it and looking at it again. And man, oh man, it happens fast, doesn't it? And it's eerily similar. By the way, I'm James Rapien. Welcome into Cincinnati Bengals Talk. I don't know if I said who I am if you're new, but it reminds me so much of that Baltimore night on Thursday Night Football when all of a sudden it's over. And I'm not saying Joe Burrow's season's over. We don't know that. In 3 months gives him a chance to come back this season for sure. And in his mind, he's probably already gearing up if he has to have surgery to get that surgery and get as close to healed as he can. And you go that route. But my goodness, like just a nightmare type of scenario where you miss Joe Burrow and you lose Joe Burrow for the majority of this season if this ends up being the case. And it feels like it is. I'll say this. There's a lot of people that are going to be like, oh, well, this is just a report, or they're saying it for this, or they're saying it for clicks, or they're saying it for that. Ian Rapoport and Tom Pelissero aren't just reporting that to report it. They're reporting it because that's the belief inside the Bengals organization. Right now, the Bengals believe Joe Burrow is going to miss significant time. Not just a week, not just 2 weeks. There's not debate. Like a few hours ago when I was doing the stand-up, we didn't plan on doing this video. But when I was on the field and I said, maybe he ends up on IR, like, okay. But the more information that comes out, the more information that they gathered, this is a very significant injury and is going to cost him months, not weeks. Is going to cost him games and a bunch of games. And so will the Bengals be able to hang around? Who knows? There's plenty of time to discuss that. But as far as Joe Burrow, you're talking about one of the best quarterbacks on the planet that made the Bengals a legitimate Super Bowl contender. They certainly felt that way. And now he is going to miss the majority of this season. And 3 months, we can do it, and we're going to do it. I'm pulling up the Bengals schedule right now. If you look at the way the schedule is, man, so this first month of games, I mean, at Minnesota, at Denver, Detroit, Green Bay, that's your first month. Your second month, Pittsburgh, New York, Bears, then a bye into week 10, and then you're getting into that third month on November 16th at Pittsburgh, home for New England, at Baltimore on Thanksgiving, at Buffalo. And then let's just go really, really, I would say ambitious at this point because it's not like he had the surgery yet, and say Baltimore week 15. And it's a 1 o'clock against Baltimore. So then he's coming back for that game, the Miami game, the Arizona game, and the Cleveland game. Maybe, right? So maybe he gets another 4 games in this year, but when it comes to the regular season, this is a very optimistic take, you're talking about 6 games out of Joe Burrow. It sucks. It sucks all around. We posted video of Ted Karras in the locker room afterward, and you could tell. And I think that this is pretty noteworthy, whether it was Ted, Orlando Brown Jr. talked to our own Jay Morrison, who wrote a really good piece. Check it out, BengalsTalk.com. And they were like, just from how they talked about it, they didn't tell us anything, but just from how they talked about it, you could tell it wasn't like a week thing. And you could tell it was longer than that, just from the body language and how bad they felt and upset they felt. And that comes with being an offensive lineman in the NFL. Injuries are a part of the game. But now you look at Joe Burrow, and there's going to be so many people that say, well, there's another injury. And he had the ACL as a rookie. Comes back the next year, leads you to the Super Bowl. And that year was not without injury. Had an MCL, multiple MCL injuries that year. One in the Kansas City game, and took that next week off, if you remember. And to get in the playoffs, they had already clinched the playoffs, took that next week off, and then injured it again in the Super Bowl. And then in 2022, You have everything that went into that season, and he dealt with little things. Remember, like he had was it a throat injury at one point, and he wasn't able to talk, but was able to still play. And then you obviously have the wrist and all of the things that came with the wrist and the discussion about the wrist and how the wrist is working. And now you have this. And I completely skipped over the calf because really calves in the grand scheme are pretty minor, but it's just one thing after another. And so if this is another surgical procedure, ACL, wrist, and now the turf toe. So hopefully it's not. Hopefully this doctor that the Bengals are getting a second opinion from, and that's what they're saying is Burrow left the stadium on crutches, which I knew. He'll get second opinions, but it seems pretty cut and dry. Usually, very rarely, it happens. It happened a few months ago with someone. Very rarely, though, does a player get an initial diagnosis and then probably get more eyes on it. And like that's kind of that's what it is. That's the injury. That's the prevailing opinion. And then the second opinion or the third opinion or the fourth opinion changes it. And it's better. Like it happens. It does happen, but it's rare. And so it's a really, really unfortunate night. It's an unfortunate night for Bengals fans. It's an unfortunate night for obviously Joe Burrow's family, this Bengals team. It doesn't mean that they can't win games. They won today. But it's going to be so much harder. And they cannot win a Super Bowl without Joe Burrow. And the odds of them, like even if I had said today to the national audience that the Bengals would win the Super Bowl with Joe Burrow, a lot of people would roll their eyes, right? So even with him, but I mean, locally, I get it. There are a lot of people that think, all right, well, Joe gives us a chance, and you should. And I still think they have a chance in a lot of these games with Jake Browning. But the margin for error is just so much thinner. The margin for error on defense is so much thinner. The margin for error on what they can do and not do on offense. Joe can do everything. Joe can do anything and everything. And, you know, I've seen out there, why does the offense look so different with Joe out there than when Jake's out there? The defenses play the Bengals completely different when Joe Burrow is under center. When Joe Burrow is at quarterback, they fear him. He puts the fear in them so much, and they do not want to let him do what he does, which is be a magician out there at times. And it's a bit different. Like that deep ball to T. Higgins. I'm not sure that is even there if Joe's in the game. It's a little different. Now, Jake Browning, I like it because he pushes the ball and he's going to give them a shot. Mitch Tinsley, all those things that we talked about in the postgame stand-up. But I look at this and I'm like, man, it just sucks. Sucks for all involved. And this was not something 4 hours ago when I was standing on the Paycor Stadium field. I was not thinking, all right, well, I'm on this turf now. 3-4 hours from now, we're going to be talking about, I'm not going to say season ending, but dang, a 3-month absence is a 3-month absence. And it feels like it's season ending, right? It feels like a long time. And their season could be over by then if they don't do what they need to do between now and then. So hopefully it's not. Hopefully they can rally around Jake Browning. But yeah, it sounds like this is going to be a really extended absence for Joe Burrow, and he could miss the majority of the season. And here's the thing, if they're not in it in December, well, then they're not going to bring him back and play him in meaningless games. So they're going to have to hang around at minimum to get Joe Burrow back this season. We're going to have you covered. We're going to hear from Zach Taylor on Monday. And when we do, we're going to have something for you. In what form that is, we'll figure that out on the fly. So I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but we wanted to get it out to you as soon as we could here on this Sunday night. We appreciate you watching. We appreciate you listening. And until next time, for Andrew Fox Miller, I'm James Rapien, and this is Cincinnati Bengals Talk.